Hola Madridistas, welcome back to another episode of Let's Be Real podcast. If you're new here, you know the drill. Smash the likes and subscribe to the channel. We are on the road to 2K. But yeah, that was fun, boys. Not gonna lie, it was everything we expected and more. You know, this was such a very good advertisement for what La Liga, is all about, especially this season. And yeah, and it was a good precursor for what is to come, especially the three derbies that's gonna two derbies that's gonna follow this one. And it was kind of refreshing, especially to see the first half where where both teams actually went toe to toe, where neither of them were like I'm gonna back down, or I'm gonna take a breather, because it was end to end. It was frantic. It's basically, like I'm telling you, a coach's worst nightmare. Watching that unfold wasn't. It wouldn't make any coach really be proud of their defenses, or their setups. But yeah, Atleti tried to exploit our one weakness, that what Farooq said. I think, was it the last post match where you mentioned Atleti was the only side that really uh, did the homework and really hit us where it hurts the most. And they tried it a couple of times. It worked just like 3-4 minutes into the game, but we'll get into all that. Before that, welcome my esteemed panel, Mo, Farooq, and Jacob. I'll start with you, Mo, first. Initial impressions. Happy about the result?
Yeah, man. The thing is, like, when I saw the game was at 1:30, like, in my local time, I was pretty happy. I was pretty sure that by this time we'll be done with the podcast and everything, and we could just go back to our lives. And I was like, yeah, an extra time again. No, I can't take it. And I was telling you guys in the group chat, if this had gone to penalties, I wouldn't have been able to take it. I had half a mind to, close everything and see what the result was at the end of the day after the penalty, if we had gone to penalties. But I think with the result, you're obviously happy, but in the middle of the game, like, when it comes to close games like these, especially in the knockouts and in games that are like, one if you lose, you go home. You don't really like that feeling, the feeling that you get when you're watching them. So happy
Yeah.
with the result, but the feeling that I got in between, yeah, definitely did not like it.
They could have been gone either way. And that's one of the best things I think they've done with the Super Cup, which is to keep it kind of towards the middle of the season. I know Farooq would bite at me, saying that this is kind of unnecessary, but I mean, it's a trophy. It's the least important trophy on the calendar list, but keeping it kind of in the middle at least brings a sort of an intensity to the game, which otherwise would go missing. And that kind of added fuel to the proceedings, and that just made it all the more watchable, in my opinion. But I'll come to you, Farooq, again. The game, did you expect it to pan out this way? Were you happy with how we kind of managed the second half, especially?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of the whole thing, but honestly, like, we are fans of football, and basically this is what I want to see. You understand, like, it's as you said at the beginning, it's not a game that will make coaches really happy, but for fans and especially the neutrals, like, this is what you want to see. This is what you pay to watch for, and I can feel for the fans in Saudi Arabia. Definitely, they got the worth of whatever they paid for their tickets. So it was end to end game. Unfortunately for me, I had a shitty stream, couldn't complete the extra time, and it was just in and out, in and out. But overall, man, like, I mean, a win is a win, but hindsight, I would rather have gone back home tonight, honestly.
Right. Okay. Fair. 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 I wouldn't say that, but I get your sentiment, Jacob. About the game, man. How happy were you that we actually got to see some um end to end stuff, especially in a derby where sometimes it can get a bit too cagey. Were you surprised by how um batshit crazy the first half was?
Yeah, I mean, it was a really fun game. I feel like the referee had a major part to play in it. Like, I'm pretty sure someone could have killed some other player, and then the referee wouldn't have even given a yellow card. Uh, that
Was
was
it deliberate, do you think?
definitely like just to keep the game flowing. I think
Mm.
maybe because all the cameras were on him, maybe they were instructed to let things go. So definitely made it a very free-flowing match, and it almost felt like we were at the Bernabeu. The crowd was totally on our side, except for, of course, when Toni Kroos took a touch. But yeah, it was a really fun game all around.
There is more noise in the Bernabeu, to be honest.
100%. The noise levels, the whole reason I reckon they shifted the venue to the Al Awil Park is probably to encourage a bit more, enclosed setting. I think the other, like especially the King Fahd Stadium has had a lot of empty seats. When I think Super Copa events have taken place, especially last year and the year before. But the atmosphere, I wouldn't complain too much, man. I guess it was okay. Nothing out of the ordinary. Like I'm pretty sure even the people who come in and they know this is nothing fixture. This isn't a fixture that's gonna really define either team's either team's horoscopes, for the season. So they just maybe might not be, fully into it, but still, I think the fans gave a good account of themselves. And the cruise thing, I don't get it, but I do get where they come from, especially when a German is kind of vocal about, how other countries are oppressive. It's kind of, ironic.
Let's not get there.
Anything though. Like, who's saying it's in specific targeting the Saudi Arabians?
I'm not sure. Like, this is going from my memory.
He said something about Gabri Vega going to Saudi.
Oh yeah, that's the one. That's the one. That's the one. Yeah. But that might not be the only one.
Overall,
I don't think so.
Was pretty okay in my opinion. Like the fans were pretty good apart from the cruise thing, but yeah. An interesting fact about the referee today is the fact that he used to be on a dating show before. So.
He kind of looks the part of not gonna mention what I think when I see his face first.
I think the word is always, and when you said he kind of looks the part, and like everybody thought the same word.
Yeah, he just really, he wouldn't even need much of a touch up or makeup, before he goes on air. But yeah, man, I guess he kind of managed the game well. He let things flow for the most part, but apart from some blind refereeing decisions, which we talked about in extension in the group chat, where somehow some of the most cleanest tackles you can see in the season when punished. I don't get it. But yeah, where should we begin, boys? I think we should go even by even. I guess that would help us out to kind of break this down bit by bit. The first goal, right? We knew, they knew, coming into the game where we would be found lacking. And is it zonal marking? Is it man-to-man marking? I still don't understand some of the stuff that unfolds, especially in set pieces. This season and even the last, at least during the Decimo Corso season, we had some sort of a design to how we defended set pieces. But as of late, like I don't really get it. Like what's going on? Rodrigo trying to half-heartedly, trying to mark Hermoso. I'll come to you more. Like, should we really pin that on the coaching staff that we really can't get our set piece routines, especially defensively, right?
I mean, it has to do with organization, right? When you have Rodrigo marking Hermoso is center back. He's good in the air compared to Rodrigo. I mean, miles better than Rodrigo. So you're gonna end up with situations like these.
And the height difference is a mismatch from the get-go.
Yeah, definitely. High difference as well. I think you made a very bad point about it. We don't really know what kind of marking scheme they're going for in these situations. But then at the end of the day, as soon as we knew that Kepa wasn't starting, we all knew that this is going to happen, right? We all were worried about his ability to manage the box on corners when their cross is coming in and everything. And I think the whole penalty starts from the fact that Samuel Lino, when I saw the team sheet and I was like, Samuel Lino is going to be playing on the left, so we have to be worried about it because Rudiger is playing as right center back, so it's naturally it's going to get pulled towards him, and the guy who's going to be defending the corner is going to be Nacho and Kepa, so it's not cross is not it's not a good thing, and Simeone totally exploited in the first leg. So today again he did the same thing, and Lino gets a corner out of Kepa and they score, and our organization while defending the corner wasn't that great either. So. I mean, we can sit here and try to blame people, but at the end of the day, those are the personnel we have. and the coaching staff is trying to do the best they can with those people. So as long as we're scoring goals, I guess we have to be happy. But for me personally, I think Ancelotti should have gone with Lunin today.
I guess it's kind of like how we discussed, in the Copa and the, let's say, the rotational role, like how Diego Lopez and Casillas kind of shared the spoils 10 years ago. I think that's kind of the same way, although the quality levels have hit rock bottom regarding those positions. But like,
I mean,
go on.
you are raising a very valid point. When we look at this, that's what comes into our mind. But then Ancelotti, I think it was last month, he said that he's not going to repeat the same formula that he did with Diego Lopez and Casillas. And then now you see that you wonder if he's gone with Kepa as his first choice, right? Because he's playing him in a game against Atleti, a game of like magnitude, right? So I don't know. Personally, I've said this before as well, and I think you agree to it too, that Lunin should be the starter. But especially when you play against teams like Atleti, who are obviously going to exploit our weaknesses in the air. So let's see what happens.
And it's not just like weaknesses in the air per se. Like I just don't get the same confidence when I see Lunin handle the glove compared to Kepa. It's just a feeling that I have. But yeah, people, 18 of you here in the chat, smash the likes if you haven't already, and subscribe to the channel if you're new here. We're on the road to 2K. Let me get to a few of the comments. Big up Ashik. He has been sending a lot of stuff. I'm not going to read some of the the NSFW stuff, Ashik. Yeah, pardon me, but Ashik was mentioning earlier, scoring a winning goal is as big as a hat trick, but it still isn't a hat trick. LOL. I guess he's talking about Joselu. Yeah, Joselu's goal. We'll get to it. It was funny. Dennis the Great was saying, "Ala Madrid." Big up Sun. Sun was and I was mentioning Camel versus Mongoose. Is it the Oblak against Brahim Diaz duel? Well, that was the most FIFA, most FIFA shit I've seen. Yeah, FIFA situation. Basically, it was just I couldn't believe my eyes that was actually unfolding. Big up Ajay. He says, "Ala Madrid guys, that guy King. Big up that guy King. He was mentioning that ref man, 100%." Ajay was rightfully pointing out now Lunin is the number one goalkeeper this season, 100%. Yeah, I would give Kepa the credit of saving the Lino shot. That was a good that was a good save. He had a couple of decent saves, especially from long range shots. He kind of held his own. But yeah, man, Kepa really didn't do himself any favors. I'll come to you, Jacob. Right, so they scored the goal, and then the game got a bit scruffy. Like, did you think that some of the decisions, especially some of the some of the break-in plays, especially the Saul one, I think was it inside the box? I reckon like it was a definite call for pen. Like, were you surprised that some of the decisions were completely being led down the drain? Like, he didn't really even think twice about dismissing them.
Yeah, I mean, at the start of the game, the players weren't really sure how much they could tackle and get away with it. But then as the game moved on, like the players knew, man, like we just can't like dive or even fall down. We have to immediately get up and fight for the ball. So that's what went on. And in the first half an hour, it was just confusion because we were all like looking at the referee, waiting for a whistle or something. But anyways, in that particular situation, it was right outside the box, but it still was a foul. It's just that the referee, like many occasions, just decided not to give it.
I almost felt like the referee didn't want the game to basically be decided on a 50-50 decision. Basically, to just I think from a monetary perspective, probably to keep the crowd on their feet. I don't know if it's a direction from the people above him. But yeah, like I was super unhappy that we were getting basically torn apart in transition. Like I couldn't believe my eyes. Like I thought our team is the best when it comes to, especially in Europe, when it comes to transition and how we kind of beat teams on the break. Atleti were doing it to us, and they were basically targeting Morata again to like whipping crosses in and hoping he gets on the end of a couple of them, and
It's not hoping,
he basically
man.
did.
It's for a sure that it's a surety when you cross against Real Madrid that it's very easy for the main striker to actually get your head on.
It really blows my mind. Like, at least on paper, right? Rudiger and Nacho should be well equipped to deal with it. Like, Jacob, like, how do you think that kind of basically is that defensive line, especially in there, is broken when someone is imposing as Rudiger is basically the leader?
Well, I mean, credit also has to go to Atletico, right? Not a lot of teams can put in crosses this accurate. So some of these are actually
100%.
very, very hard to get to. But some of them I don't really understand. Like some of the crosses that Nacho could have actually like handled, he just didn't jump for some reason, or maybe he didn't notice Morata running.
Nacho really looked shaky this season, right? Like, he really looks shaky. Like, I've never attributed Nacho to being lacking a bit of, now bottom. Like, yeah, he's decent still, but I reckon like he has stooped down a couple of levels this season. Whether it be down to pressure, like we discussed earlier, whether it be the captain's armband, during the armband is getting to him. I'm not pretty sure, but it truly is a concern, at least for me. Right, it might be a bit harsh. Midway through the season, he might still come in clutch. We know what Nacho is about. He'll just step in, do the job, and basically give us ways to win. That's what Nacho does. But early signs, I'm not too sure. But I'll stick with you.
I just
go on.
want to make an alternative point, right? I think you guys have made like pretty bad points, but I also like to point out the fact that the goalkeepers behind Nacho, they're not good.
Very
Although
good point.
I mean,
100%.
even though we are praising Lunin, I mean, if everybody was fit, we wouldn't be calling for Lunin to start, And I think Farouk has made this point, over and over again previously as well. Neither Lunin nor Kepa is a keeper that you want to look at and say, oh, this guy is supposed to be Real Madrid's number one. They used to play with Courtois behind them, and when you're playing with a keeper like Courtois behind you, your confidence is going to be totally different. And I think when it comes to defending crosses or corners, I think a lot of it is down to teamwork and organization. So the way we are currently, I think it leaves a little bit lacking. Especially with the keeper not being that great. I think if Lunin had been there, we probably wouldn't have been as open. But it's not much of a difference. It's like making marginal gains between Kepa and Lunin. There's a big value of difference when you compare them to Courtois. So for me, I'm not reading too much into these these performances with players like this, especially when dealing with set piece and everything. And I think this is probably one of the reasons which might come to bite us back in in later part of the season when we're playing in the knockouts in the Champions League or something like that, even in the cup, against good teams. So overall, I think about Nacho, I agree with you on some points, given the fact that when we conceded against Arandina in the cup, it was again Nacho's own goal. So some of these situations, he probably needs to handle them better. But overall, Nacho's done well so far, so I wouldn't really be too harsh on him. But I mean, I think you guys have some valid points.
It's just some of those headline moments, especially the red, the couple of reds he got back to back.
I think the couple of reds haven't really done him justice. Those moments of madness. I think, especially when he's the captain of Real Madrid right now. I know we don't really have anybody left, so he should do better in those situations.
100%. And the goalkeeper point, you make a very solid point that you can't really judge the level of gap in quality, the drop off between Thibaut and the rest, right? Like, but still, man, like it's a game of confidence, especially when it comes to the back line. It's about emitting that level of composure to your centre backs, to your wing backs.
Yeah, that was the exact point I was making. The value of the quality of difference between Courtois and Lunin or Kepa, whichever one starts, is huge. So when you have Courtois, the defenders are going to be their performances is going to improve. But when you have a keeper like Kepa or even Lunin, I mean, they're decent keeper, right? But there's a difference between them and Courtois.
But I reckon Lunin would transmit a bit more.
Like I said, marginal gains, man, marginal gains.
I don't think it's that marginal, but I reckon it's marginal, but I think it's better, even if it's marginal, right? Like, I would want the best case.
I mean,
best case scenario. Right, fair. I'll come to you, Farouk. Yeah, you've been silent all throughout this.
I mean, the point is that you need, like, whoever needs a hype man, you just need to believe in your cause, man. He's gonna paint you like the second coming of Jesus, man, like the holy savior, man.
Oh my God.
I mean, the way he's talking about Lunin, like you would feel like Lunin is the like.
This guy, of course. I mentioned it in the chat. Like Farouk thinks Kepa hasn't done himself, much wrong this season. But
I think Farouk's point
I don't.
is, neither of these guys convince him, so he's like, just pick one and stick to him.
Don't you think Farouk, even if it's marginal, Lunin is slightly better? Come on, you got to give it.
Bro, 30 seconds ago you just said it's not marginal. It's huge. You basically said this.
It's between Thibaut and the rest. I'm talking about between Lunin and Kepa. Lunin has a head start. No, you don't think so, yeah?
The point that Mo is making about giving confidence to defense. I don't think either Lunin or Kepa does that. If that's the question you're asking, I don't think either Lunin or Kepa does that. And that's the whole base of my argument over and over. It's not about the fact that one is better than the other. In my opinion, there is no difference between them. But just let's find one and keep it there.
I'll be happy to dunk on you guys for the third time this season, but the coming months will prove my point. Hopefully, and for the good. Hopefully we get to win more, and Carlo gets to decide that. Lunin, like, that's my personal opinion. Like, I get your grievances 100%, but I'll come to you, Farouk. Yeah, the Rudiger goal, right? It was a much needed, satisfying moment, especially scoring of a set piece and one of our defenders basically out jumping everyone. Like the amount of force behind the header, actually, super well positioned, the aggression, it reminded me like what Jacob said about of a certain Sergio Ramos.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way he actually attacked the ball. Like I don't know who was defending him or who was supposed to mark him, but like
he was basically unmarked.
Actually, there was someone there because
I think it was Savage who was behind him, but nowhere near.
He lost track of him.
Yeah, there was a guy who could not jump because he wasn't even aware of the position that Rudiger took, because if you notice, like, Rudiger actually ran into that spot, like kind of drawing tricking the defender or stuff like that. And I think on the previous pod or something like that, we actually talked about the fact that our set pieces are kind of lacking constrained delivery of Toni Kroos and lack thereof. And honestly, like it was really it was a goal that was really needed, and it was a really well taken header by Toni Rudiger, as you mentioned. Like it reminds us of a certain someone.
Farouk, do you remember when I told you that, like, it is difficult to differentiate between Kroos and Modric? And you told me there's a value difference between Kroos and Modric when it comes to
set pieces.
Yeah,
there you go.
Modric was the one who
I said it. I said it even back then. Modric is 100% better.
Modric is better.
I didn't say Modric is better, but I said like
from corners, especially
for me.
No, I disagree. I don't think Modric is better, but I do feel like Toni Kroos. I feel like Toni Kroos is better. I think even much better, honestly. But it doesn't mean that Modric is a bad one. That's the thing, It doesn't necessarily mean that Modric is of course.
Kroos has always had a certain level of quality. Like I think this season, I've always felt a bit lacking, especially when it comes to his corners.
I think it's down to the fact that Modric, we have a small sample size, and Kroos, we have a huge sample size.
100%, that's also in play.
Yeah. Like if he's getting 10%, he's taking like 100 shots and getting 10 people to convert. And with Modric, he's taking 10 and he's getting 1 or 2 to convert. And those 1 or 2s are like key ones.
Big moments. Yeah,
they always stay in your point.
Yeah, 100%. So basically, Rudiger. Since we are on Rudiger, let's basically give our thoughts on Rudiger quickly. In my humble opinion, like, although he had a very, very good game, like some of his clearances really didn't make sense to me. I don't get it. Some of his headers wasn't really, didn't really even clear the first line of their offense. So it wasn't the best Rudiger performance this season, but I guess he gets to have a 7.5 or a 7 out of 10 on a night like this, especially against a quality side like Atleti. But your couple of cents more, Rudiger, quickly.
I mean, I don't really recollect what you're talking about when you're talking about his clearances, because I think for most of the game we were like dominant. So maybe I'm not remembering these things, because a lot happened in the game, and towards the end, basically it was like
I just paid extra attention to him because he has been our best centre back.
Overall, for me personally, I think we're gonna be like we're gonna be talking about like little small things if we start like nitpicking. So overall, 100%. Rudiger was like Rudiger has been the second best player this season. I said it before as well. after Jude, I think Rudiger has been second best. And for me personally, this season he's been the best centre back in the world. I've said this before as well. And in the past 2 matches, he has saved our bacon, by scoring goals as well.
100%.
So I think what more can you ask for? In the last 2 games, Rudiger probably, if you average everything out, he's probably been one of our better players, our best players. So for me, there is no complaint about Rudiger. I think today also, again, he scored a goal. He was defending transitions. Real Madrid traditionally have been pretty poor defending.
There was an instance where Sam Molino is like, "Oh, let me run down the byline and try to fool someone, right? Try to grab someone's livelihood by their neck." And he saw it's basically him against Rudiger. He's like, "Nah, let me let this slide," right? So there you go.
So the thing, right? I remember a couple of weeks ago, somebody was claiming that Antonio Rudiger has always been the perfect Real Madrid defender. He's defending one-on-ones, he's defending transitions, he's doing everything essentially. I remember the game when Tchouameni and him were starting centre backs. Rudiger was the only one who was actually playing as centre back. Tchouameni was
100% one-man centre back. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the thing. I think Rudiger in this past season, especially, he has developed himself into the perfect Real Madrid centre back. I think whenever a team is playing against Real Madrid, especially when that team is not named Barcelona or one of the Premier League teams, La Liga teams always have this playbook. You sit deep and you hit Real Madrid on the counter because Real Madrid, obviously when you're a position team, you're always going to be vulnerable on the counter. So Rudiger this past season has defended those transitions well, and I think he did that today as well.
100%. I'm not claiming to be Nostradamus, but I would like to give myself again some credit that I predicted that he would eventually turn out to be a leader of our defense when some of us really didn't have that confidence. But I'm glad that that's working out for us. I'll just keep it at that. But Luka Modric quickly, Jacob.
Farouk, don't you think somebody's been needy over the past 2 weeks or something?
No. Let that slide. Okay, I can be needy for a bit.
The
Farouk, no. You should back off. You should back off. For the sake of this post match, I guess we should call it truce. But quickly, Jacob, Luka Modric.
Yeah, Luka Modric, nothing too spectacular, man. Like, he was just keeping the ball moving, especially that second goal. I mean, he has to be faulted right there. He got in front of Rudiger, blocked him. Rudiger couldn't put in the challenge.
He's basically defending our centre backs, right? At one point.
Yeah.
I guess out of frustration, he just knew how livid he was when he dropped to the floor. After basically Griezmann bet him. But yeah, man.
Yeah, he just made Griezmann look good at that point, and even before that, he was just playing too deep to actually make a difference.
I don't know. I saw a compilation. I don't know if you saw it, Jacob. Sorry to interrupt you. Like, I think it was posted by the Champions League, where it's like a compilation of him getting beaten by midfielders. Like, I think it was posted on Instagram. I saw it on Instagram at least. The Ajax game, a couple of the City games, where he's basically taken to the cleaners. Where we all know his...
You had to refer to the Ajax game back in 2019, and then you had to talk about the City game in 2023 to make up a compilation of Modric errors. I think there were a lot of games in between them where Modric has, shown his value.
100%. I'm not slating him, man. Like, I'm
not saying you are slating him. I'm telling you that Champions League had to pick up games from 2019.
Yeah, they had to. Even the comments were quick to point out that the Champions League admin has basically done him dirty. Winner of the competition 5 times.
And that's the thing about Modric and Real Madrid. The thing is, like, when teams win against Real Madrid, they celebrate it because it's a trophy. So when midfielders beat Modric, they celebrate it because it's a trophy.
Yeah, do you remember all of the reels coming out when Kubo actually nutmegged Cruz and Cruz fouled him? That was there for 2 weeks.
Yeah. I guess it's a trophy in itself. What most.
This is the levels to which Modric and Cruz are. Yeah.
But yeah, man, Jacob, go on. My bad.
Yeah, but I felt like early on, I felt like the Toni Kroos substitution in instead of Modric, that didn't really make sense. Was that the substitution? Anyways,
yeah,
that was substitution, but it did not make sense because the game was moving at a really slow pace, and we weren't really getting into the final third for Toni Kroos to make a difference. But then after a bit, I guess Atletico tired, and then we really saw Toni Kroos's quality stand out. In the end, it was the right decision, but I felt like Modric...
At that moment, yeah?
Yeah, the game was just too fast-paced for Modric to make an impact in the final third. He just couldn't get there. So that's why he probably had a 6 or a 7 out of 10 today.
Let me get to a few of the comments before we, move on further. I saw an interesting one where I would like to start with that guy King earlier. Jacob, if you can scroll up a bit further back, he was mentioning that guy King was mentioning Kepa can't save with T-Rex arms. That was the rep he always had, that he has T-Rex arms, and kind of makes sense every time I kind of have that mental picture.
Not just about the T-Rex arms, also fact that some of the decision making can sometimes be pretty hair raising, because if you guys remember towards the end, there was
Yeah, he could have just left that, right?
Yeah, so I mean, positioning and awareness were pretty poor in that situation. I think that speaks to his lack of confidence, because I think overall he's not that bad, but when he makes these mistakes, it affects his confidence. I think we saw it today. So I think situations like these, you don't really want a keeper, who has a propensity to make these mistakes and lose his composure. So that's why, like I've said it before as well. Personally, I would be a little bit more comfortable with Ruben than Kepa.
Definitely. Like, imagine a Karius moment in the Champions League. I just can't see it.
No chance. Oh my God! Please. See. Honestly, like I'm pretty sure. Like I'll just collapse. Like literally, I'll just like straight away collapse, because Mo knows very well how I was, during the Manchester City second leg, because he was trying to reach me, and I was having an out of the body experience. I couldn't really, I couldn't really even sit up straight. So if something like that happens, especially during a Champions League final or something in that vein,
and you come back and celebrate the contract of Carlo Ancelotti. Okay, I think we're gonna carry your cup one of these days.
Farooq.
Farooq, there's a possibility where you praise Ancelotti for the work he's done, while criticizing him for the little things that you disagree with. I think overall Ancelotti definitely deserved that extension.
I mean, I'm not saying they deserve or didn't deserve. I'm not arguing against or for it. I'm just saying that if you're coming and celebrating it after you experience a near-death experience.
Near-death experience. See, if it was a near-death experience and I died, yeah, like I wouldn't really back Carlo, but we didn't die.
It was celebrating because the first Bellingham brother did well, the third Bellingham brother had to celebrate.
What do you mean? Okay, I don't get it. I don't get the Bellingham. I wish I was that charming as Jude, but I would take the compliment any day. El Merengue Boy was mentioning Ala Madrid homies. Damn, I'm late. I missed Suned's epic intro. No, well, I'll hear it tomorrow on Spotify. Big up, El Merengue Boy. Yeah, you're basically
the charm of Bellingham.
No, I don't. That's what I was, about to tell Merengue Boy, that I really am under pressure from you. Basically, I have to cook up something with a bit more, nous, especially when doing intros. But I appreciate it, man, 100%. That guy King was mentioning, Lunin would have definitely saved that second goal. Let's talk about our second goal first. Yeah, Paul and Mendy Mo, right? This guy, we have seen him, wriggle out of tight situations before, pulling off a couple of Zidane pirouettes en route to some brilliant fluid stuff down the left. People don't give him enough credit. I've always banged on that drum that he is really someone who can help us out, even offensively, not to the extent of a Marcelo. I think that kind of basically gives people the idea of the drop off, which is correct, which is a very legitimate concern, right? But still, follow Mendy, that finish, I don't think it's even accidental. I think he completely meant it. The way he, takes a peek back, while executing it, makes me completely understand that he was 100% conscious, 100% in the moment while he did it.
I think I've said this before as well. I think Mendy for Lyon was pretty decent offensively. So it was a bit of a surprise.
I haven't seen him at Lyon.
When it comes to Madrid, and it's like he feels at times that he's pretty useless for Benzema is not there. But I think overall, whenever Mendy plays, he's been good, because he kind of he knows where to position himself in the build-up, and I mean I totally get it. He doesn't really have the technical qualities of some of the better left backs of the game today. Not even comparing it to Marcelo or legends like those. Just average fullbacks who like to play in offensive areas. Mendy might not have the technical ability of those people, but like you said, he has some of that. Sometimes he had this ability to pull out the absolute.
Quick question, Mo, just to double back on your point. Does he have more technical ability than Fran Garcia, or no, in your opinion?
You've really put me on the spot here. Offensively,
go for it.
Offensively, I think Fran is better than Mendy for the traditional roles of a fullback. But for this Real Madrid team, I think Mendy's ability to occupy inverted spaces really helps us.
In tight spaces, I feel like Mendy really shines.
Yeah. But I think the thing is like Fran has this pace about him. He has this ability to ping in across. Those are the traditional things that you expect from a fullback. I think those are the areas that Mendy struggles. But when it comes to navigating tight spaces, playing, just being the two for other players to play 1-2 off of, I think Mendy does those jobs well. He's a good protector for everybody on the wings and everything. He has this understanding of he has the ability to read the game and understand which positions are going to benefit the team from him, because he knows that what his limitations are, and then he plays around them. So I think that has definitely helped. And making those runs today, especially the one we saw today, was brilliant from him. That speaks to his ability.
Running across, that's a striker's instinct, man. Not gonna lie, I was super surprised.
I think even when you've seen, like, previously he scored goals, you have seen him make runs into the box that nobody expects. Being free inside the box, he has this ability that I don't think a lot of other players have. I think that pass was brilliant from Carvajal, and that touch from Mendy. He has the ability to pull out a rabbit out of the hat. So he did it again.
Carva basically megged. I don't know who was it. Was it Hermoso?
No, I don't know.
On road to the assist. But
I was too enchanted by Ferland Mendy's finish to be bothered about it.
100%. I'll come to you, Farouk. Ferland Mendy.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, like the goal, as you said, like it was a phenomenal touch. It was a perfect goal. Like, but again, it's Ferland Mendy as well. Like, I don't want to make any comments now, but when it comes to March and April, let's discuss if Ferland Mendy is actually on the pitch, defending the badges, or he's in the hospital room, defending his brace. His
availability is the best ability, but when he is available, he is just so instrumental to what we do.
When he's available, we've seen that they can be things there, but the point is, like, if we go to matches that are really important, then we have to play people out of position because Mendy is not available. I don't know. Again, he scored the goal. I think he had a good game overall. Yeah, credit to where it's due, but it doesn't, in my opinion, at least, he doesn't bring up the debate of, is he the person going forward or not? Like, I mean, for the past 2 years, he hasn't been fit enough when crunch moments have come. This is just, the issue there. So I think
I wanted to ask you guys. So do you guys think if Camavinga actually started instead of Mendy, we would have done better?
I think both of them, they really bring positives and downsides to each of their skill sets. I think it's hard to call, but I personally, in a high stakes game against top tier opposition, my vouch is always Mendy. I don't think Camavinga would essentially do bad. We also how he managed Salah, who is one of the world's best wingers, on his own. He just single-handedly marked him out of the game.
Even Messi in the World Cup.
Yeah. So we know what he's about. But Ferland Mendy just is that certified. Just gives me that sense, that same feeling that Lunin gives me, a sense of security, right? Like I would like that, especially from my defense.
I love that analogy. Like, I get the level of confidence I get from Lunin from Ferland Mendy as well. So he should be starting, left back again.
This guy really, he just has his agenda. I gotta come for Sunaid whenever the opportunity arises, because I hate this man so much. I just don't deserve this kind of hate for it.
I have confidence in Lunin as much as I have in Mendy. So I mean, that summarizes the whole story.
Mendy won at the Champions League. You should have much more faith.
This is unfair.
You should have so much more faith. Like 2 years ago, like I don't reckon he really enjoyed the Decimo Quarta. He doesn't really hold that in high regard. So it's understandable that he wouldn't value
without Mendy much. There would be no 14th, man.
Simple as.
You'll be talking about Liverpool having 7 Champions Leagues. So.
Oh my God, less of that. Yeah, less of that. I hope I'm not alive to see that. Honestly, but. Yeah, Ferland Mendy, man. I guess we have pretty much covered it. Jacob, if you want to add anything to, Ferland Mendy.
Oh, man, let's move on.
Okay, fair. Let me get to a few of the comments. Big up every single one of you in the chat. You know the drill. If you're new here, smash the likes and subscribe to the channel. We are on the road to 2K. Jermaine from Madrid, he was mentioning there's a reason why Nacho is a backup centre back. I guess you have a very valid point, man. It was a bit further back up, Jacob. Doris was mentioning, what a game, guys. Glorified friendly. Nothing friendly about that Brahim dunk on Oblak. Not gonna lie, that was super satisfying.
I was reading this funny comment. Somebody said he broke Usain Bolt's running record to get ahead.
It's such a, like, just be in Oblak's shoes, right? Like, you're being hunted down by someone the size of your knee, right? Like, he's basically not even half the size of Oblak, and he just has to.
It felt like a cheetah was hunting down a giraffe. So.
Yeah, simple as, it's 100%. 100%. That's the best way to put it. It was one of the scenes out of Nat Geo. Steve Ivan would have been proud of such a spectacle. But yeah, Oblak, like, I'm 100% sure that he was seeing death basically flash before his eyes, running to hopefully get to it. But yeah, Brahim did him dirty.
That guy can. Another aspect. We're probably going to discuss the goal further down, but the thing is, like,
you could discuss it now if you want to.
Not only did he run that distance, not only did he show that pace, he also had the ability to put it inside in the goal from that distance after running.
Most guys they fluff it, right?
Yeah, definitely. So I think that's something that deserves like immense credit.
100%. 100%. We'll touch upon Brahim, but I guess we should kind of move on to how, I think we discussed it, right? Like, Griezmann, brilliant individual piece of skill. Like, I would never really give him much airtime because I hate Griezmann and hate Atleti so much that. But still,
that goal's quality. I think
piece of individual ability.
That just shows that there are some players, who are cut above the rest, because everybody has quality. They're playing at this level because they're good players. But then some players have this extra bit of magic that they can pull these things out of the hat. And I think, as much as I hate Griezmann, there was a time when I wished he would be playing for Madrid instead of Atleti.
100%. Growing up, bro, at Sociedad, the way he used to cook, down the wing, bro, blonde hair, he used to stand out just from the get-go.
I think it kind of points out to how difficult it was for him to go to Barcelona and become like a caricature of a player. He's come back and then he's shown himself again. And I think there was an interesting point that I think it was Jacob who made it. Maybe Lunin saves that shot that Kepa missed. Probably Lunin is taller or something. I don't know. He could have got in a hand, because I think
the Griezmann shot, nah.
I think Kepa kind of like he almost reached it. I think Lunin maybe does a little bit.
It went
better.
under
the shot.
Kepa. The shot went under Kepa. So I think a taller keeper would have found it easier, but not a guarantee.
The shot was hit with conviction. Like, I reckon he really
a good shot, but there's still a question in my mind about it.
It's good that you're having these thoughts. I'm pretty sure Carlos is having the same.
This is the point I've always tried.
Oh my God! Here this guy comes again. Okay, go on.
See now, what just happened now? There's an argument whether Kepa would have saved or Rooney would have saved. So now this is also something that's definitely going to be in the mind of the players as well. We're all humans. This is what we see. You understand? We talk about giving confidence, to the back line. This is something that's definitely going to be in the mind of Rooney on the bench as well. This is something that's definitely going to be in the mind of the goalkeeping coach. So, like, by having this kind of small, debates and arguments, like, you bring down the confidence of the players even more and more and more. This is why I've always said, like, for me, I'm against the idea of having two goalkeepers. If we had Couto in post, like, and whatever happened, no one will ever ask a question, okay, like, another keeper would have saved or not saved. If Kepa was the first choice and the obvious first choice, or if Lunin was the first choice and the obvious first choice, no one will be here arguing about the fact that, okay, would someone save or would someone not save? Because, this is set in stone and this is how it's going to be. You understand? So, it's, as you said, like, it's a 50, it's maybe even less than 50-50 chance, but
I think Farouk, I've always said that I agree with you on this point. They should just select one, and even if they're making some small mistake, like mistakes like these don't really count, because it was a brilliant shot by Griezmann, so you can't really hold it against Kepa, even if it was possible for him to save. But the only bit I disagree with you is the fact that I think Lunin has this marginally better than Kepa, and that marginal difference is such that I would prefer Lunin over Kepa. That's the only thing I would.
I'm not talking about preference right now, and I've said this. Like, for me, it doesn't really matter who is who, because for me, I put them in the same box. You understand? But what I'm just saying is that it doesn't, like, we just have to have something set. It doesn't matter who.
I totally agree with you.
I am fine. If 2 bricks are what's going to be the end of the season, let 2 bricks be there. I really don't care.
Oh, wait. Since you're comparing Kepa to a brick, okay, I would throw this in. Oh yeah, okay, fair. I would throw this in. Talk about the goal he conceded, which was basically why he is in the spotlight for tonight. The third goal by Atleti. Like, should we even remotely blame Rudiger for being a bit unaware, or is it completely on Kepa?
I'm gonna flip this question to you. So, did you expect this to happen when they signed Kepa in September?
100% yes.
Okay, so then what are you talking about?
No, but in isolation, as a game, we gotta just break it down and kind of look at it right under the microscope. I'm asking you a simple question, bro. Kepa, is he under fault?
There are two things. Kepa is at fault, and I also felt it was a foul. Definitely, there was a misjudgment from Kepa, 100% at fault, but I also felt it was a foul. I felt like, Morata bailed him out there. In my opinion, I honestly felt it was a foul because the point is we have seen, you just blow air at the goalkeeper and it's a foul. He literally clashed into the keeper clashed into him or whatever it is. In my opinion, I thought it was a foul, but obviously there's a misjudgment from Kepa as well in there. But as I said, this is something that...
I think, Farouk, the reason why this is getting magnified is because I do tend to agree with what you said, There was an element of Morata, maybe perhaps there being a foul, but then it was mostly down to the fact that Kepa misjudged where the ball is going to be coming from and he mishandles it. I think this is the reason why it's even under microscope, because Kepa has a tendency to do these things over and over again, because previously as well there has been situations where, he has conceded goals from situations like these, and sometimes it's been lucky where it has been called a foul against him. And, with the referee today, I wasn't surprised that he didn't really give a foul. And, even VAR decided it wasn't a foul. So, Ramber suffered. But, the thing is, like, when it comes to dealing with situations like these, when it comes to dealing with crosses and corners, I think Kepa has routinely showed that he's not that good with judging ball in the air. And when you have a keeper who's not that good, and then you have a defense that lacks height, because Nacho is not the tallest. Only Rudiger is the one who's probably good in the air in our defense. Carvajal is playing out wide and Mendy is playing out wide. Then you're going to be in situations where defenders are going to need some backup from your goalkeeper. And I think Courtois does that. Kepa does not. And I think Lunin is probably, for me, marginally better. And I think that is why Lunin should be starting.
I was watching Liverpool the other day, and I don't remember who it was against. It was against Arsenal, of course. And how Alisson basically, just screams, my ball, keepers. It just really basically just goes to show, what an elite keeper, does to a side that is clearly, struggling for their lives to, keep.
You do realize we're talking about Kepa, Isabella again, right?
Yeah, I know, but I'm just telling you, just accentuating our. Not comparing, oh my god, but I'm just telling you, like, what I'm just adding to what Mo's point was about, that, like, Kepa being there, just him being there really doesn't help anyone out, but yeah, he should be, in my opinion, he should be 100% to blame for that. And I would attribute his indecisiveness, especially when it comes to judging aerial balls, to something akin to not even salsa, but something a bit more complicated, such as Bharatanatyam, which is an Indian classical dance form, which has a lot more, nuance to it. It has a bit more, right, Jacob? Right?
I wouldn't be that fast, but I think
salsa is a bit more graceful.
I would just like to point out the fact that even when we were playing with Casillas as a goalkeeper, Casillas wasn't that great for dealing with balls in the air, but he knew how to position himself on the goal line, to
anticipation was so much better with Iker, bro. Come on.
He knew how to position himself on the goal line to prevent headed goals from going in. I think Kepa was doing a decent job till that point with his positioning, but I don't know, for that particular ball he decided suddenly that he wanted to.
A couple of headers, he actually, even the Griezmann header, there wasn't much power, but he caught it pretty decently.
That's right. Even with CS, we always had this. He always had this tendency where he couldn't judge long shots and he couldn't judge crosses. And I think Kepa is like a Casillas light, but he doesn't really have the good qualities of Iker. But he does definitely have these worst qualities. I think Kepa probably, if he's playing, if Ancelotti decides Kepa is going to be my number one, like Faruk said, stick with one, whatever mistakes they may give them the confidence. So if Ancelotti decides that Kepa is my number one, then I hope he can stick to a style. He doesn't really need to mix it up. Just stick to the style that is serving you well.
100%. A few other comments before we actually dissect the game further. Jacob, if you can scroll back a bit. Jermaine from Madrid, he was mentioning that Mendy goal was better for me. Madrid TV was also commenting Carvajal man of the match. Was he? Not for me. He did have a good game. Not gonna lie.
He did have like 3 assists by the end. So
Yeah, 2 assists
Yeah,
and a goal.
yeah.
What the hell?
And a banger. A shot that he basically rifled into the net.
We wouldn't win this
Mo
game
has a
without
point there.
Carvajal, for sure.
100%. I guess he has a very valid point. I would maybe give it to maybe Mendy, but yeah, that would be stretching it. But I guess Carvajal should be the outright contender for man of the match. I completely understand where Madrid TV is coming from, but big up Madrid TV. He was also mentioning Brahim and Cruz changed the game. Yeah, Brahim definitely did, man. We'll talk about Brahim and how far he has come. Especially from his first stint with us. Hassan mentions why is Nacho such a bozo these days? I don't get it either, bro. I don't get it, honestly. Big up every single one of you in the chat again. Madrid TV was mentioning Modric is better at set pieces. Agree 100%. Smiley was mentioning on the left side corner, Kroos is better. On the right side corner, Modric is better.
Well, yeah, I mean, every
Is that
goal
fair?
that you remember from Modric's corner has come from the right hand side.
I mean, Lucas and Rudiger last goal from the left, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It was from the left. Yeah. Jacob.
But I think
There you go.
The iconic goals have definitely come from there.
Yeah.
92-48, that's the one that
From the right? Yeah, 100%. Ashik was mentioning tomorrow Osasuna will win against whoever they are playing. Their opponent is important. Ashik has his way always, man. El Merengue boy was mentioning I used to call Benzema Karim the dream. Now I'm gonna start calling Brahim the new dream. That boy's crazy. That was a Forrest Gump run. Oh yeah, when he came on that individual piece of skill that he showed down the right, basically where he sat down 3 of the Athletic defenders was glorious, man. Like what Mo was mentioning in the chat, like Carlo probably should have bought him on a bit earlier. Like I want to talk about Brahim so bad, but there's a couple of moments we have to address before we get to Brahim, especially that Rudiger pass to Rodrigo. That was a peach, especially everything about it, the delivery, the technique with which Rodrigo brings it down, fakes the man, drops basically Oblak and was it Savage. They're basically beaten, and like rightly what Mo actually pointed out in the group chat, like how did he bury that? I'll come to you, Mo. Like, was it just a rush of blood? Was it just him? Like I mentioned, basically seeing the headlines for tomorrow.
I'll say something that I don't think a lot of people will agree with, but I sometimes get this feeling with Vinicius and also get this feeling with Rodrigo is the fact that they're chasing headlines. Like you said that
Vinicius 100% for me. I just always get.
I think for Vinny, the thing is like he's always trying to get the opponent's card or be extra smart. And I think with Rodrigo as well, I think this time he was like, I'm gonna put it under you and do something that seems difficult, and get that highlight rather than do the easy thing and do the basics and just get the goal. I sometimes get the feeling rightly, or maybe I'm incorrect about it, because the thing is like
with Vinny, I get that feeling, man. I just don't like the synergy since he has come back. It's nothing on Vinny. Like he has his positives which completely outweigh, some of his nagging shortcomings. But in my opinion, like the team looks less fluid with him. Like I don't.
For me personally, we'll come to this we'll be talking about Brahim, so we'll definitely talk about this. But I think going away from the goal for a little bit, I think the thing is like Bellingham, Vinicius, and Rodrigo were the best version that I've seen them today. Because before this, I haven't seen them be as fluid. But today was the first time I've seen them combining pretty well, all 3 of them together. But the thing was that they were lacking a 4th member. That is the point that I was making earlier in the group chat. The thing is like I thought Ancelotti should have brought Brahim earlier so that he could have been that 4th person, and these 4 players can be like combined together and score something. But when it was just 3 of them, it was easier for the Atleti. I don't know, 8 players defending three of our guys. I think it was pretty easy for them. So Brahim getting on early would have been easier. But then coming back to Rodrigo, I think like you said, the headline was already written in his mind. He was like, I'm going to do the difficult thing and get all the glory. So I personally did not like that very much. And I think he should be looking at how Carvajal buried his goal. That's how you take those chances.
we'll get to Brahim. Brahim, I was leaving it for the end, but since we are on Rodrigo and Vinny, I'll come to you, Farooq. Like, do you share more sentiment that they need a fourth guy to basically unlock them a bit more, or do you share my perspective a bit that since Vinicius has come back, like, is our team looking as fluid as it was without him? I know it's a far-fetched statement, but with very short evidence, with very with such a small sample size, what has it been, like, couple of weeks, right? So just the feeling that I get from how certain actions you know gets unfolded, like, it really doesn't look as smooth as it was before.
Before Farouk says something, I just like to add to the fact is like the things that we have said aren't exactly antagonistic. The thing is, like, Real Madrid before Vinicius was playing with Brahim, and Brahim was like incredibly fluid. So we did look better after Vinicius has come back. Vinicius is like coming back from an injury, right? So he's not really in the form that Brahim is in. So
Yeah,
I can
100%.
definitely see where you're coming from. But then I think today Vinicius, Brahim, and Vinicius, Rodrigo, and Bellingham are combining pretty well. But they had to combine against 8 players. You get it? And it was like they didn't really have the most support from the backline, the other players, because those guys don't really have the same offensive input that a guy like Brahim has in the final third. So I think that's the point I'm making. Today, I think they needed a fourth to show their,
especially the burst of speed.
the ability to move other players. You need a fourth player to complete it.
Yeah, over to you, Farooq, man.
Yeah, I think I kind of agree with both of you to some extent. Like, for example, I do remember situations where like Vini and Rudiger actually was bursting out, and like it's like 2 of them against 7 players, and literally there was no one to give the ball to. They literally have to turn back around or just go into a dead end and obviously turn over position and stuff like that. But again, for Vini, I think this is his 3rd game or 4th game back. I think he was out for like it's the second game, right? Yeah, so I mean, the point is like he was out for 2.5 months. So like as Mo said, you can't just expect him to come back in and everything is works perfectly again. So I think that stuff needs a bit of time for them to understand each other. And let's not forget, before Vini got injured as well, like he started to hit form, and his understanding with Jude and Rodrigo was also quite at a very high level, I would say. And then he got injured, and then Brahim took the reins, and what's now. But I think one thing I actually kind of feel is that like the ability to link up that we see from Brahim, maybe this might be a far-fetched thing to say, but I feel like none of the other 3 players have this. I think this is the reason why it's more easy on the eye.
Passing in short spaces, Brahim is just very instinctive, very, very smart. But yeah,
I think we made this point when the season started, right? When the season started, we said that without a guy who can link up everything, and I made this point at the start of the season. Bellingham was scoring the goals and everything, but then this one ability,
overall play,
that about linking up play and combining everything that you expect from a number 10. I kind of harped about it, but the thing is, like, the way season has gone, Ancelotti and co have adjusted to it. So and Brahim, he did this job wonderfully. So the point kind of went away, but Farouk is making a brilliant point today.
So that's the thing. I think that that link up play that he has, I think it's something that whether you like it or not, like, these players eventually have to link up. So like Brahim kind of brings that to the table. So I kind of feel like that's why it might look somehow that okay, like there is something missing or something isn't missing. But again, we have to understand, like, this is one of the limitations of the diamond that exists. This is something that's always going to continue to happen, because the point is, when you bring Brahim on, like, and you play all these 3 attackers together, like with Brahim becomes 4. Then basically, who do you play in the middle of the park? Then it becomes a 4-2-4 formation. So unless you're gonna have Fede and Fede's 2.0, marshal the whole pitch, like, it's gonna be a very difficulty to do. How do we overcome this? Honestly, I don't know, but I do believe that we will get to see a better link up between these guys the more Vinicius gets back into form. Honestly, and I do believe that also, like, the return to full fitness of Camavinga as well also aids this, because I do believe hopefully there is a noise, I guess, somewhere.
Yeah, some blowing sound.
Is it on my end? Should I mute?
I don't know.
It's fine now. There was music also on your end a while back.
Oh, it's the people watching a movie. On the floor below me. But quickly, question to you, Farooq. Right? So you would prefer in big games the front 2 of Rodrigo and Vinny? Yeah, you would stick with this.
100%.
Okay, fair. We should also remember that Vinicius was
So
yeah.
if I might
Yeah.
add something, the thing is like
Go.
Farouk rightly pointed out about the limitations of the time, but I think that the current setup, the way Ramler is set up, is like we play 4-2-2-2, 3 lines of two. So the second line of two is integral in linking up play. And today the guy who was playing alongside Bellingham in the second line of two was Fede Valverde. And the thing is like Fede Valverde also has to do a defensive job. So I think that was kind of limiting. And if Brahim had been there instead of Fede, and I'm not asking for Fede to be dropped. I want Fede to be little bit deeper, because previously we saw Cruz and Fede Valverde play in the deepest line of two, and those guys handle the middle of the park pretty well. So I think that is sort of the point that I was actually making when I said in the group chat that I hoped Brahim would come on earlier instead of Modric, because I think Brahim, when he comes on, he has the ability to combine with the front two, link up play, and be the fourth player to create spaces. Meanwhile, Fede and Tchouaméni could have been sitting deeper and dictating play and doing whatever was needed. So for me personally, I think Brahim should have come on much earlier, and I think that would have helped the team a lot.
100% Brahim, is basically looking like our trump card of the bench, man. And yeah, we have reiterated this over so many of the recent post matches across the past couple of months that we never really saw this happening. But I'm so happy. For someone who has followed his career, especially at Milan. Like I'm super happy that he's getting this new lease of life with us, and especially confidence from Carlo and the coaching staff. But Jacob, I would like to come to you and basically dial down on your opinion regarding what Vinicius and the whole situation is looking like up top. We gotta remember that he's basically the man who made the Carvajal goal happen. Driving down the left, and I guess at that point the formation kind of aided him a bit. We kind of transitioned to a 4-3-3 when Brahim came on, right? So he had that extra acre of width to basically exploit, and he did it to great effect. And yeah, man, your couple of cents on Vinicius.
Yeah, that particular instance, it was Vinicius's bread and butter. Just drive down the wing, get into the box, try to put a shot in, and luckily, the shot spilled out, and I think we had 2 or 3, maybe even 4 attempts at it, and it finally went in.
Even Jude popped in with a shot.
Definitely. And for me, I would say we can avoid playing Brahim in certain situations. That is if Camavinga plays on the left back. So if he takes up that left-hand side spot, that invites Vinny to be a lot more fluid. And I feel like Camavinga is basically our width, and then those other 3 players can actually combine better. But if we don't have Camavinga over there, I totally agree with these guys' points that Brahim needs to be there.
Just like Sunaid is Lunin's hype man, Jacob is Camavinga's hype man as well.
Yeah. Camavinga at left
Camavinga
back,
slowly.
not even at CDM.
The left back, yeah. Even in big games, yeah, Jacob. Against if you're facing City tomorrow, Camavinga is your left back out of Mendy.
If I need a goal, definitely bring on Camavinga at left back. But if I am if it's a 0-0 game, definitely Mendy.
No, man, if it's a big game, I'm definitely going with Camavinga. I don't know why Camavinga's hype man is not that decisive. For me,
really, yeah, even
Camavinga is that, because the thing is I think the Real Madrid's best midfield is probably Bellingham and Cruz and Valverde and maybe Tchouaméni. So where does Camavinga come in? Camavinga has to start somewhere, right? So I think Camavinga should be starting at left back.
I wouldn't do that to my boy, but basically I'm in a handicap match, 1v3. I would still, trust my gut and fight you guys until death. But we'll see how that unfolds, because there's a couple of months still left to kind of look at what this team's best 11 is. We have kind of a vague idea, kind of a very good idea about how this team is going to shape up when it comes to the quarterfinals. Let's just say, hopefully, touch wood that we go through against Leipzig. But a few of the comments, Jacob, quickly. El Merengue boy was mentioning earlier. Sunaid, please ask Prince Farouk to throw some flowers to Don Danny Carvajal, the best right back in the history of this beautiful club. I don't care anymore. Farouk has never been a critic of Carvajal. Maybe last year, right? This season, it's different.
I think he's coming for me from last year, because I remember last year, I actually made this comment, the fact that we should not buy Jude because we don't have fullbacks, you understand? So, and that was, was better to spend the money elsewhere. But honestly, yeah, like for this, definitely, I will eat my words, and die on the hill of shame for doubting, our Lord and Savior Danny Carvajal. Because honestly, I never ever thought he would, be able to reach this. I mean, he was phenomenal, you understand. But the point is whether you like it or not, like, for players who rely a lot of, physicality, the way, he bombards the wing and all that, like, I never expected, for him to have such a resurgence. And honestly, like, definitely I agree with that, Maybe, okay, I don't know that much of the players who played in the history of Real Madrid, but one can I say right now is I don't think there's a better right guard in world football right now. I just don't think so.
Alexander-Arnold, would have his.
Alexander-Arnold should learn how to defend first.
Yeah, exactly. What the expectations on the game is different. Like, what Carvajal does is like what you ask for your fullback, both offensive and defensively. Understand? So that's it's a complete package.
Hassan was mentioning Kepa needs to be shipped back to Chelsea expeditiously. I'm tired of his fruity stretches and short arms. What the fuck is that supposed to mean? Hassan, I hope you didn't mean anything, NSFW. But El Merengue boy, no. Let me skip that. That guy, Prince Arthur, basically, a few comments down. Prince Arthur was mentioning Kepa is overrated, that he was saved today. 100%, his team basically bailed him out. Let me get to El Merengue boy's comment a bit further down again, Jacob. Please bear with me. He was mentioning, I know we won, but can we talk about the elephant in the room? Vinny Jr. isn't 100% back homies. That's the question I wrote down, especially beginning of the second half. Is he really back? Vinny Jr. isn't 100% back homies. I love him, but let's be honest. Just based on form, Brahim, the new dream, deserves to be a starter. I 100% agree. But that's never going to happen. But especially with Carlo, no chance. Even if Vinicius is having a stinker, which he's not. Let's be honest.
Like, if any manager, it's not going to happen because Vinicius is your trump card. Vinicius is the main player. Vinicius is the big name on the team sheet. You want your biggest weapon to be in form when the
but so many guys, especially on Twitter and in subreddit as well, like I see the hyperbole machines. He got the number 7 shirt. Now he thinks he's someone, right? Like he wants to like what most
he is someone.
I mean, he is someone. Exactly. This is the point. He is someone.
He's someone, but he's not him yet, right? Like
he will become him by playing, right?
100%. I won't disagree with that, but yeah, man, I don't get it, honestly.
Like, he is Real Madrid's main player, so Ancelotti, 100%. Will try to give him as much confidence as they can. I think while we are on the topic, there was an interesting comment by one Tony Cruz. He made a tweet. He said that was fun today, amazing crowd.
Oh, did he do that? Okay, yeah. Tony Cruz, like I knew just by even watching that unfold, I knew that he's gonna clap back, right after full time, and he did, pick up Tony, man.
I mean,
and Jake,
more actually, we need to add Tony Cruz as one of those, they don't have legs in the middle of the park, before the whole 2022 thing happened, the 2021 thing. Sorry, maybe he's gonna, at least clap back. I think that's what I mean.
That was ages ago. That was even before we won the 14th.
I think a lot of that happened over the years, and people don't know about it.
Oh yeah, we weren't doing live streams back then as well. Yeah.
No, we didn't record a lot of that. Those arguments.
We did. Come on, man. That was on post matches and stuff.
We kind of had that argument. I remember the first time, like we had the one major argument that we had about this was like it was before we started recording. So.
Really? Good Lord. These guys are just blowing it out of proportion, yeah? Like, they just want to drive this hate campaign against me. They want to really go back into my past, my less perfect self and, dig in for stuff to feast on. Yeah, let them have their day, boys. El Merengue boy again. No, Ashik, before that was mentioning, when he needs to stop going to the ground that easily. I reckon as well. It's just, I know, like the first couple of minutes when he goes to the ground, he isn't too keen to ask for a foul. But once the minute 15 mark gets crossed, he's right on the trigger.
Like I said, I think I get this feeling rightly or wrongly that, sometimes Vinicius is like kind of fishing for fouls and he's fishing for cards for the opponents.
It shouldn't be about his game. I'm telling you, the more honest you are, the more honest you are as a tricky winger. This is just me going off my very limited, like just a 15-year, 16-year span of watching the game, very limited knowledge, that when you're a tricky winger, the more honest you are, the more workman like you are, the more referee is going to buy into stuff that even you don't believe that's a foul, right? Like,
But
even in an
think about
instance where it
Cristiano.
might be,
Like Cristiano used to get a lot of stuff go his way just because of I think he just fell down like very elegantly that looked like a foul.
I
Even
think
if
the
contact was
issue
minimal.
with,
But with
for me
Vinicius, he
personally,
just doesn't know how to fall down.
good lord, I can't believe I just heard that. But go on, Jake.
for me, like, there were two things. The first one was like when you're talking about very limited, Jacob was like nodding his head. That was pretty funny. But then the main point is, like, I think Vinicius, the reason why he's like fishing for cards is the reason that today there was a time when Rodrigo de Paul fouled him and he didn't get a call. So I think when situations like these keep happening over and over again, and we've seen this happen in La Liga, right? Especially when we were playing away at Mallorca last season. So I think when situations like these happen, this is why he probably, he exaggerates these things to get cards. But as a fan, sometimes it can be frustrating.
He shouldn't let this get to him. Telling you, there's going to be countless more, instances where he,
honestly, I kind of feel like it's exaggerated on one hand because of what Vinicius is like. He's a very outspoken person. But like you look at you go to the Premier League and you look at wingers like Salah, Son, and Saka. Like these are the cheap floppers in the league, like Grealish. Like these are the people who exaggerate shit a lot and they get fouls or they don't get fouls right. I just kind of feel like it's part and parcel of being touchline hugging winger. Like this is just it. Because the point is, if you don't exaggerate fouls, like they're gonna kick you to hell. I mean, you can say whatever you want about Neymar or not. Like the reason Neymar is out of wherever he's out of now is because the way they kicked him. That's just it. Whether you like him or you dislike him or whatever. Like Neymar was flopping, yeah. As Jacob said, he didn't know how to flop. That's true. But the point is, they actually did kick this guy. So this is just
my question is, like did Bale used to be so needy for fouls? In my memory, he never used to. I don't know. Like this is a very basic comparison.
I mean, Bale wasn't a tricky winger, right? He was more.
He wasn't exactly tricky, but he used to rely a lot on his space, especially in transition. Where
I mean, you have to catch Bale before you can foul him. Right? This is the point. But players like Vinicius players like Vinicius, Saka, Grealish, Salah. These are okay. Salah is also a pace merchant anyways. But like this is what they do. Like they try to evade the spaces and just
For back up for a minute, did you say Salah is a pace merchant?
Yeah, of course.
He relies on his pace more than beating man. Like he has a couple of
does have pace, but man, he also has the bag of tricks.
I know.
Definitely. I mean, the point is, doesn't Vinicius also have pace? Vinicius also is very fast, but also he has a back of tricks. I'm not like kind of bringing down one to.
I mean, you say pace merchant. When you think pace merchant, it's like
if there's a gun to my head and I basically get put forth a question: who's gonna beat the man? Right? Is it gonna be Salah or Vinny? I'm going with Vinny. Simple as just me. But I do agree with you. He has a back of skills to beat a man 100%, but it's not his best asset. El Merengue Boy was mentioning, Sunaid, please ask Professor Mo to describe Fede Valverde's game tonight. That Uruguayan engine always gives all for the team. Phenomenal.
Guys, the thing is, like, now that I've been called the professor, we need to plan a heist at the Spanish Parliament.
It better be worth it because I don't have much time. It better be worth it, and it better fund everything. Basically, a trip to Spain as well.
2.4 billion euros.
Exactly, man. We're going to the royal meeting of Spain. Like funding is an understatement, man. You're not gonna worry about funding for the rest of your 3 generations.
You guys do know that people are gonna rewatch this over and over again, right? But,
and of course, definitely. If anyone actually believes that we can pull off a heist, then I mean, then the problem they have is not us actually. Then they have other problems to handle.
Not gonna comment much on it, honestly, because I have a lot to worry about already. I don't want to be, a targeted fugitive, on top of that. But more Fede Valverde, since Merengue Boy was mentioned.
I was like, when I was watching him today, do you remember we had this argument once about Fede Valverde and his passing range?
Yeah, I did, especially in tight spaces.
Today he kind of displayed his range and his vision because he was trying to play balls in behind, and even the game against Arandina, he was doing that. He was trying to play balls behind into spaces for wingers to attack.
He has grown in my estimation in that regard, 100%.
Yeah.
as a
So
player.
I think you have been vindicated to a certain extent because
Yeah.
Valverde has like improved his game in those situations,
Mm.
and I think today for me personally, I think Valverde, like I said, was playing in the second line of two, so he was a little bit more advanced, but then he also had to defend, so he didn't really have the impact that you really want from one of the guys who's playing in the second line of two. Like I said, I would have preferred Brahim to be there, but then when Brahim came on, I think Valverde retreated to the third line, and Valverde did what Valverde has always done. He was brilliant. The thing is, like, even when he was playing in deeper areas, he had the ability to get the ball out. That was like not a lot of people can do that. He dribbled with the ball. There were like multiple occasions where he beat his man, the athletic players, with his dribbling. So I think overall Valverde was pretty brilliant, and I think Ancelotti said something, about him in the pre-match. Valverde does not realize how good he is. So I
Yeah,
think
he's a
that
bit too humble sometimes, right? That's what
yeah.
Carlos said. Mm.
So I think that was a wonderful point. I think Valverde even himself does not realize what kind of game he has, and I think
Mm.
he's only going to improve from here. And I think
It's
Valverde,
it's kind of understandable more when you actually put it into perspective that when he is surrounded by guys like Modric, Cruz, and you see them, picking
I
out
think
passes, Mm.
even more to that is the fact that we haven't seen the full repertoire of skills that Fede Valverde has. Because he
Mm.
has pushing, like he has been deferring to the likes of Cruz and Modric the time he has been here, because those
Yeah.
guys have the technical abilities that we think that Valverde does not. But maybe he does, and he's only hiding them because the team does not need it. But whatever the team needs, Valverde has become that player. And even today, when you needed him to be more attacking, he was that. Last season when we needed him more to be closer to the box, to be scoring goals, he was doing that.
The season before, as a wide winger,
Yeah,
he
yeah,
excelled
and
over there
this
as well.
season he has been asked to play a little bit deeper, and he has like
Mm.
adapted his game again. And today we saw how he can do in a different situation, in a different role. So for me, Fede Valverde, like I've said this before as well, for me, Fede Valverde in Ancelotti's team is undroppable currently, and I think he's going to continue to be that.
100%. That's a very very neat assessment of what Fede was about tonight. I guess we shouldn't dwell on it much. This is the standards that I hold him to now. We don't talk about Fede much. The less we talk about Fede, the better. People playing his role should be invisible for the largest part. That's what makes them so indispensable. I just lost a comment message deleted by Farooq Hamid. Why? Yeah, I don't know. There was a there was a chat.
Yeah,
There
by
was a
Prince
comment
Arthur,
by
right?
Prince Arthur.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to read that out, and
So
I just got a message that
you want me
Farooq
to
just
read it
deleted.
out?
No, I have it still. The
Okay.
only reason why Vinny starts is his past record and ability to beat players. He has lost his connection to his team and doesn't let the ball flow. Always looking for a foul. At the moment, Atleti had like 24 fouls called. I don't. Or at the moment, had 24 fouls called. I don't get it. But yeah, that's some of the viewpoints of the other side of the fan base, which clearly is very vocal. You could say that they are being a bit, blown out of proportion. But I'm someone who takes various angles of an argument and kind of puts that on a plate and watch the game and then tries to decide, which point really has some substance to it. And the more I've seen Vinicius this season, yeah, without Benzema, the Vinicius without Benzema in a new system, yeah, we should all put that with an asterisk, like how that's kind of in the equation. He is playing out of position. He's not being played to his strengths.
Yeah,
So
but even
we can
today,
kind of
okay, in the first half, he was combining really well with Rodrigo. He created two very good chances. In the second
some of his passing, especially that loop ball to Rodrigo, where Rodrigo couldn't control the ball well enough,
and
was brilliant. Yeah,
even in the second half, he was picking all of those passes around so many players just outside of the box, creating almost shooting chances at least. So I feel like he hasn't like really lost his connection to the team. It's just we know his actual strength, like driving the ball down the wing line and trying to find someone, but that just is not going to happen this time, and he has to learn how to do all of these other things a lot more, and I feel like it's just a matter of time until he finds his strengths again.
When the formation was shifted to the 4-3-3, we just saw how he basically was in his natural habitat, and he just knew where to go, when to go, right?
So I would disagree with you a bit about the formation because I think we didn't really change formation. We're still playing the 4-2-2. But the thing is, like with Brahim coming on, we had this freedom to combine more. I think when we're talking about player Rodrigo and Vinicius, when we talk about Benzema as well, because we always talk about that with Benzema in and without Benzema. So the thing is, like when these guys were developing their skills, right? They had a player like Benzema around them, and then they adapted to playing more of an associated brand of football, right? They're always playing in combinations. They like playing that way even when they're creating chances. Although Vinicius might be, hugging the touchline, but he's still combining with somebody like Rodrigo, who's always going there and providing him with an outlet. When Bellingham and Vinicius are combining, that's because Bellingham is going near them and providing him an option, right? So when these three guys combine, there it's like pretty fluid. But when the combination is in there, that's when we're struggling. I think it also speaks to the point that what a striker do Real Madrid need to sign when they do sign a striker, right? We can't really just sign a player who's just going to be in the box and expect that to work with Vinicius and Rodrigo. So for me, the thing is like if Vinicius, we're not getting to see the best of Vinicius because there's a valid point that he's missing his link with the team, but he's missing it because nobody's actually making those movements to combine with him. And I think I kind of raised this point about Bellingham before as well in this video and before at the start of the season as well. Bellingham as a number 10 has to do those things about combining with him, or the team has to provide a player who can do that.
I think Jude really makes himself available, and he is a good
he does in certain
guy to play.
Today in the Roda at the start, he was doing that, but as the game went on, we saw a little bit of disconnect there. And the thing is, like in certain situations, we need a fourth player to combine with these guys. And I think when Brahim came on, we had that ability, we had that personnel to like.
Don't you think it was a 4-3-3? Because I clearly saw that these guys were hugging out wide. Maybe I'm.
The thing is, like basically, when Real Madrid is playing, they kind of split their forwards, right? So
yeah,
even if Vinicius is like in the front too, he tends to hug the touchline. So it's not about playing 4-3-3. The fact is, like Vinicius has been given a position where he comes in, and Jude essentially, he kind of like combines in the left areas and makes those deep runs into the box.
Yeah, maybe my estimation was wrong, but Vinicius was having a lot more freedom down his wide areas, especially when Brahim came on.
I think
maybe you're right.
I think you also have to keep in mind the fact that this is Vinicius' second game back from injury. So with time, the understanding with Jude, the understanding with Rodrigo, and whoever is the fourth player is only going to improve and probably going to get better.
A few other comments again. Abdul Amadou was mentioning, once again, we need to give my man Fedez flowers. Today, a close second MVP after Carvajal. His improved passing game in combination with ball carrying ability is just peak. 100% big up, Abdul, man. Pick up yourself. Right. Apparently, Ashi was mentioning, apparently this is what is making rounds. The talk beginning to do the rounds is that the Barcelona bench is unbearable. I don't get it. But I guess, we'll have much more to talk about if they get into the final, which they probably will. Right. Few other comments. Let me get to it. I guess they were having a discussion about Brahim playing for Morocco or Spain. That's pretty much it. Carvajal's goal, we discussed it, brilliant finish. Game goes to extra time, and at that point, I really wanted Atleti to, really have a go, to basically, do something about the game. But they held on to it like it was a Champions League final. I don't get it. They were just hoping for a break in play, and we're trying to basically limit us to pot shots. Or,
Close the moment, so as soon as they got the lead right in the second half, they should have just sat back, but instead, look how much space was left behind for Vinny to run onto, and we got the equalizer. I feel like they got their game plan wrong in the second half.
Atleti has never been about being the most compact side as of late, right? Like, I don't see them week in, week out, but that's the general impression. And I think
compared to previous seasons, they have conceded more this season. If you saw the game against Girona, they were
yeah. Would a Simeone side from 2014 make a game that open-ended? I don't think so. Right?
They conceded a lot more, but I think what Jacob said has some validity because once they got the lead, you would have expected a Simeone side to sit back and just defend. But I think Atleti were still at times trying to attack. They were still trying to rub salt into our wound. So I think one of those chances we just took advantage and got the equalizer.
Yeah, Atleti really, I think especially, like I think a couple of years back, I remember like when facing Atleti, I never had this fear of, like I knew going into the game it would be tight. We will have to, counter moments and basically capitalize on them to see the right side of the result out. But this year, I'm especially after the first meeting, I'm really wary of like what they bring to the table, and how they can basically uh, dictate how a game can go. Especially we saw that how them being a bit more compact and making it a bit more cagey, especially beginning of the second half, kind of dictated how the game flowed.
I don't know if Farouk would agree with me on this, but I think Atleti are like kind of like the worst matchup Real Madrid can have, because they have this ability to get players into the box and throw in crosses and everything, and then
crosses from deep is our kryptonite.
Yeah, and then while
Simple
defending, they have a lot of players, and our strike force is not, they're unable to handle those 8 defenders that they throw at us.
Yeah, I definitely do agree with you guys. I think I think it's evidence. Like this is a team that literally has scored 6 goals against us in 2 games. Like it's definitely a team that we have to be worried about. And I think credit has to go to, I think, Antoine Griezmann also is a player that for some reason knows how to perfectly exploit the space that exists between our midfield and our defense. I don't know how that always happens, but he's the ability of him to find himself in those spaces and give the ball wide for a cross to come in and whatever it is or it isn't. So it's going to be interesting to see. We have one more. I think we have 2 more games actually. One next week, and even the more all important one, I think it's going to be in the first week of February, rather. I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So I think those 2 games will actually tell us if they are indeed the kryptonite, or if it's just just
a flash in the pan. Yeah. Prince Arthur was mentioning earlier, I saw when Kamavinga came to play left back, when he started to play well, maybe that is the connection he needs. Some of the guys on the panel, they have that sentiment, clearly. I do not. Maybe it's my memory being muddled because of how brilliant Karim Benzema was, combining with everyone, including Mendy and Vinicius down the left, that just makes me think. I don't think it's a matter of that, but, I guess you have a point. Also about Atleti, like the one thing that surprised me the most was I'm not going to rely on ESPN commentators being my guidance, right? But still, they mentioned that I think multiple times that Atleti is the side with the most fouls this season in La Liga. Like, how can you attribute that to
I don't believe that.
Less than. Okay. I mean, the least fouls conceded, basically.
Got it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, like, how can you attribute that to a Simeone side who was always combative from the get-go, right? Like, that's the mental image I have. Like, when you hear about a Simeone side, it's basically men going to war in fucking silver shielded platoons and whatnot. But this is something that's unheard of, especially from a Simeone side. I guess it's an evolution that was warranted. People get tired of just being in the mix, and they want to maybe see a bit more attractive football. I don't get it, but let's get into extra time, I guess. Joselu comes on.
Just to add to that point about them not making fouls, I think Atleti, Simeone has always been one of those guys who knows how to foul but then get away with it. So I think Atleti has always had this ability to make the foul but then get away with it. So they know where the line is. I think they just toe the line but never cross it.
Yeah. About extra time, Joselu comes on and he gives them a new headache. I think, which was a much warranted, substitution. And I knew for a fact that he's going to come and make an impact, just like Brahim did. And I'll stick with you, Mo. Joselu's goal, comical, lucky. How do you tag it?
I mean, the thing is, like, I would say the fact that, like, it was when the management decided to send in Joselu, they knew that we needed a presence in the box, and I think that is something that we discussed before as well. So it did its job. Maybe it was comical, maybe it happened the way it did, but it happened because of the presence of Joselu. So I think I give it credit to him, and then I also have to give credit to Carvajal, because whenever the going gets tough, he always has a cross to help the team and bail us out. So he did against City. he's done it again today. So credit to the players involved, credit to Joselu for being that presence and being that menace to Atleti's defense, and credit to Carvalho for bringing a brilliant cross, and credit to Savage for brilliantly turning it into the goal.
Jacob, a couple of cents on Joselu. Was the celebration a bit unwarranted, or do you think it's perfectly okay given the circumstances and that's against Atleti?
Man, like any circumstance warrants a celebration. It doesn't matter. But I was really uncomfortable because of the front two that was being played, Bellingham and Joselu. I didn't know if it was gonna work, or
Bellingham was absolutely knackered. Like, he was just gassed out. He couldn't do much.
Yeah, but in the end, I guess the game plan worked. Just try to put some kind of cross in or some kind of pass in. Hopefully, one of those two gets their head on it, and it worked. So yeah, kudos to Ancelotti.
And Atleti were basically, I think I remember, like, right until Joselu came on, Atleti were basically like, cross it in. We can deal with it, all day long. You're not gonna basically test us much with aerial balls. But yeah, I think Joselu did himself some justice. Farouk, Joselu, game changer.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. You always want a different thing from the bench, right? And that's what definitely Joselu brought on to be like, as Jacob rightly said, it's something different from what the defenders were facing. So like Joselu coming on gives them a different perspective. And actually just reminds me of what we discussed with Alex, Jacob, like where he was mentioning that for him, like actually he feels like Joselu is the perfect guy to exploit their defense, because he also point that like their defenders are really odd than him, and it's like he's not really confident with any of them area as well. And I think, as you just mentioned, Savage literally just found a way to put the ball in the back of the net or whatever it was there. But yeah, no, definitely Joselu, this is basically what he was bought for. It's to come in games, tight games, at the end of games, give us something different, give us an area of presence, and the phenomenal foot of Carvalho will always find the set if as long as he provides this.
Yeah. And did you guys watch Joselu's post-match interview?
No.
The first question he got asked was, "Did you actually touch the ball?"
He said no.
No,
he said yes, I did touch.
Yeah, he looked annoyed, and
what did he say?
Yeah, he said he had the first touch, definitely, and he looked annoyed.
Okay, yeah, obviously, because it was hard to decipher from the various camera angles, especially at least the one that was put out on ESPN. Like, I couldn't make out like if he got a legitimate touch. But I get his grievance. If you're a striker and you're being asked a question, you're not gonna be too happy about it. Yeah, Brahim. I guess it's time to talk about Brahim, and then we have to talk about our star boy as well. After that, Brahim Diaz. More, you were waiting for this, but I'll come to you, Farouk, quickly. Brahim Diaz. He is basically turning out to be a 12th man.
Yeah, man. I mean, honestly, like the more I see from Brahim, the more honestly, like it's just impossible to not love what he's doing. And I kind of feel like you kind of touch upon it, like it's a new lease of life for him. But I kind of felt like maybe the problem is like for a player like Brahim is when responsibility becomes too much. Because I do remember very well at Milan, it was Leao or Brahim. You understand? And Leao was also a very inconsistent player, and Brahim as well, I felt maybe felt the weight of the responsibility. But at Real Madrid right now, it's like 3, 4, 5 players, and then Brahim. I feel like maybe this, weight on his shoulder has been relieved, hence he's having the freedom to play. But honestly, what a player! Like, what a phenomenal player he is. Honestly, like, I don't know, man. Like, as I said always, like, I feel like Brahim right now, he's the first person off the bench. I don't think there's anyone higher in the pecking order right now. Phenomenal player, honestly.
Mo?
I think whatever needs to be said tactically about Brahim, we've already discussed it, because the need for him, the work he's done. But talking about his season overall, I think Farouk sums it up well. When the season started, we weren't sure that Brahim was going to have a role, and right now we are talking about Brahim being the first option off of the bench, and some people are even calling for his inclusion over Vinicius. So I think that speaks to the volume of work, the effort that he has put in, and proven himself to Ancelotti. And Ancelotti, famously, notoriously, isn't somebody who is like very flexible in his methods. To get him to change his mind about the player, I think Brahim deserves immense credit for that. Having said that, I've always said that Brahim has the talent, but the one thing I want to see from him is consistency. So far, he's delivered it. Delivered it in spades. But half of the season is left. Business end of the season is left. So I want to see Brahim put in the work over there, and then I'll be like, Brahim is definitely one of the best players in this team.
100%. Guys, I would like to Abdul Amadu was mentioning that Joselu assist on Brahim. Though, was it Joselu's clearance that led to Brahim's goal at the end?
I'm 100% sure.
Do you guys remember? Because I thought it was some of the centre backs.
Let me check out the highlights. Okay.
Okay. Fair.
I just want to add on Brahim.
Yeah, I was coming to you, Jacob.
Yeah, you can always expect him to dribble 5-6 players against Minos in La Liga, right? But then to actually do it in a big game where he basically dropped the Atletico centre backs and almost played.
Showed no fear. Zero fear.
Yeah, it shows that he has the quality to actually dribble against the top centre backs in the world also. So that gives me confidence going on to the second half of the season.
Composure also, very calm, very calm. Brahim especially, in against 3-4 hounding, centre backs twice his size. He never loses his cool. I like that about Brahim so much. Like you guys mentioned, I hope he comes in clutch second half of the season, man. That's what we have to bank on, unfortunately, for this season.
Yeah, we were talking about the SS. Yeah, it was Joselu who cleared the ball from the box.
Really, yeah. Well, do you think it was intentional or was it unintentional?
I think he was hoofing it up. So.
Okay, so unintentional, but I guess we got to give it to him, right? It was an assist after all, right? It is an assist, right?
I mean, the goal is definitely down to Brahim and his space, him outrunning Oblak. But then you have to give credit to Joselu for being there in the box and defending the ball and making the right decision with the clearance.
It happened. I can't even recall it because it's such a blur. Did he hoof it with his feet or was it a header? Was it with his feet, right? With his feet. I was wondering. Obviously, you can't get that much airtime with your head, but it's Joselu's head. Who am I to argue that? But quickly, I'll stick with you, Jacob. Jude Bellingham.
I don't know, man. I feel like the last few performances, maybe it's like Vinicius's inclusion that he has to learn to play better with these players. But he hasn't really looked like he's gonna score a couple of goals, like the other games. Even when he
is his movement off. There was a couple of instances where he made some good runs and he almost got onto the end of a couple of them. But yeah, like you said, yeah, you have a point. He's not really looking as threatening as he was before.
Exactly. Even when he wasn't scoring in matches before, he was always getting on the end of a couple of chances, even in corners or whatever. Maybe it's just the luck running out a bit. Or maybe it's just something funky with his movement, or maybe he's just tired. We don't know. We'll just watch the next few games and decide.
I'll come to you, Mo. I know you have a much. Farouk. Jude Bellingham, man, in a nutshell, tonight.
Yeah, I think the man is tired, man. I do genuinely believe he's tired, and I think the lagginess showed. But I still felt like he still had those movements, and what Jacob is trying to say is actually what I've always kind of preached against, in the sense that we are coming to expect things from this guy that he has never shown in his life before. Hence now we're expecting that, okay, if he's not getting into the positions of the traditional number 9, it's something is wrong. But I do feel like this. As you guys rightly pointed before, as Moise saying, this midfield of 2-2-2, it's now becoming a box, not a diamond anymore. You understand? So it also kind of,
and he's much more deeper, right, Farouk?
Exactly. So that's what I was going to say. It kind of brings him backwards a bit, compared to the position where he had at the beginning of the season and what is now. But then again, I do feel like I think it's now 4 goals in his last 9 matches or something like that. That's a phenomenal output for a midfielder still. You understand? But the point is, he set the bar so high at the beginning of the season that people think he's the next coming of, I don't know, Cristiano Ronaldo or whatever it is. But I just feel like Jude he's tired. His performances have dropped, but I don't think they've dropped that much. Honestly, I still feel like he's still there in those positions, trying to make things happen, trying to win back the balls and start attack, and try to be in a key component of every play that we have. So for me, I'm not too concerned about Jude right now. But one thing I will say for sure is that he is tired.
I hope you're right. And I hope it's not. It has nothing to do with his confidence. I'm always 100% certain that he's a dashing boy. Who really doesn't sly away, turn away from a challenge. So I don't think it's that. Maybe it might be something to do with its gas tank. Ashi was mentioning earlier, never question a Fabrica boy. They always do things with intention. A big praise for Joselu, man. I hope he comes to give you back some happiness, But more quickly, is it about his starting position?
Yeah, I think I completely agree with everything Farouk said. The thing is, like, for me, the biggest reason why we are seeing a drop off in his performance is the fact that he's tired. I mean, he's played a lot of games. He's put a lot of mileage on his body. There were some games when I think Rodrigo did not play. There were some games where Joselu did not play. There've been games where obviously Brahim hasn't played. Vinicius obviously had injury issues, but Brahim Jude has been one.
Sorry to interrupt you. Like, he played against fucking Union Berlin when everything was scored.
Yeah, so that was the thing I'm saying. And not only is he playing, he's playing the full 90. He's playing the full 120. So when you put like such mileage on your gas tank, the performance is obviously going to drop. Besides that, I think there's also a way to talk about Vinicius coming back and affecting the way they're playing, because right now the onus is more on Jude to combine with a guy who's maybe not exactly like Brahim. When Brahim was playing in the front two, Brahim has this ability to combine with anybody, because Brahim is an attacking midfielder. Vinicius is a winger, so the impetus falls on Bellingham to initiate the combination in those situations. So I think that is affecting him. But overall, I felt like Bellingham, Rodrigo, and Vinicius were combining pretty well today. And the only reason why they couldn't score was because Atleti had like 8 defenders defending them against our 3 players. If they had one more guy, if they had Brahim, I think we would have seen like a better output of goals, from our team. But ignoring that, I think it's just like you asked me the first thing you said, that is it because he's starting deeper. I think Jude's position has evolved from the first game of the season. While at the first time he was playing more centrally, I think as the season has went on, we have
drifted out to the left.
Drifted him out to the left and got another player drifted out to the right. So I think that has sort of affected it, and he was making more runs into the box, late runs into the box. I think that has changed as well. But I think.
Is it the coaching staff slowly? Sorry to interrupt you more. Like, is it the coaching staff slowly understanding the limitations of the first iteration of the diamond and basically adapting as the season goes by?
I mean, that is the job of the coaching staff, right? They I don't know why Farouk is laughing.
Farouk is laughing. Yeah, Farouk is saying it's not that deep, bro. That's what they paid to do. He's basically being the Roy Keane meme,
No.
It's their job.
All we need for Farouk is the game spot.
No,
I'm Farouk. Oh my God!
Like there was a tactical masterclass. Now we're going to do evolution. This is Diamond
2.0. Ever since we got dunked on thrice by Atleti, we have seen a stark improvement in our defending, right? I mean,
ignoring Farouk, keeping him aside, I think there's some validity in what you said. The team has decided they have figured out like how to get the best out of like the entire group, not just Jude. So they're doing what I think it worked for the team, and can't really complain on that end.
Yeah, man, big up Carlo, Francesco, Davide, and the coaching staff. This is one step closer to what we want in the season. Hope there's more to come. Big up every single one of you in the chat, man. Big up that guy King who said good night, boys. Is such a sweet guy. He basically said good night before he left. He's just one of those real ones out there. Big up Rajat as well. Welcome back, man. He's like, hello, bro. How is the panel doing tonight? We are feasting, bro. I hope you got to catch the semi-final, and it was a great game. Not gonna lie. I guess we covered pretty much everything. There's not much to talk about. Kamavinga came on, kept things ticking, was decent down the left. Cruz kind of impacted the game. We talked about how he kind of basically grew into the game, like what Jacob said. Who else? Danny Ceballos. Mo, is there much to talk about Danny Ceballos? Not sure.
The only thing we need to talk about Danny Ceballos is him arguing with Arda over the free kick. Apart from that, nothing.
Oh yeah, that was from last post match, right? From the last game against Argentina. Yeah, he's gonna come into some heat, man, if he's gonna do that, like you rightly pointed out.
I was reading the comments. Somebody said Ceballos should have been left back in Argentina.
I would have upvoted or liked the comment or that like I completely get the sentiment of this guy. He just thinks he's him when he's not him. He's not even her. He's no one. No, but yeah, I guess he has to be the seventh choice midfielder. Let him be happy. Collect his check and enjoy his time in Madrid. Arda Güler didn't get much time. Then couldn't really get into the game much. Like basically, it's Dani Carvajal ignoring Arda Güler's nice run down the right and picking in the ball to Joselu that resulted in the go-ahead goal and whatnot. But Arda Güler should have come on a bit earlier. Fede.
No,
I hope.
I think I was surprised that he even came on because I didn't really see the need to bring him on.
I just knew that he's gonna add so much more. I mean, like again, I'm going back on my legs trademark, but he's gonna basically give them fresh. Like they were looking super tired. They were defending. The Güler.
Yeah, you have a right point, but the thing is, like Arda Güler doesn't really have any match rhythm. Putting him into a game like this, it doesn't really help anybody. I think if it wasn't for Fede getting tired and getting cramped up, I don't think Arda Güler would have come on.
I mean, who else could he have brought on? I guess the bench was empty.
Nico Paz did Nico Paz and the boys travel?
Yeah.
Oh no, they did. Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess, guys, that's pretty much it. Big up every single one of you in the chat. Thanks for sticking with us for what has been an hour and 50 minutes. It's been a ride. I hope we got to cover almost all the major talking points from tonight. Important.
No, I guess.
But that caught your attention?
It was just the player interviews. Arda Güler had a decent interview. He was just saying he's just really happy to be back after the injury. He's gonna look forward to playing in the Euros as well with Turkey. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't think Ancelotti got interviewed. I'm not sure.
No, he would have had a post-match press conference, right, Carlo?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure you came across it.
Nah, wait, let me see. I found it. It's on Marca, but some of the translation was like pretty funny. So NSFW.
Is there anything of substance that we should cover?
I'm just looking at it quickly.
Okay.
Yeah, he talked about Carvalho. He said he had a lot of character and stuff like that. Basically, he talked about the boost to Cruz. He said I don't really understand them. And Mendy's goal, he said. He said he had no idea what Mendy was doing there.
There you go, Farooq. You got more firepower from the man himself. But yeah,
there's a lot of confidence among the players in the team, so everybody can come in and contribute. He said that he was worried about us conceding 3 goals, and he praised Griezmann for the second one, basically. About Kepa, he said, "Good game, very worthy. I couldn't do anything on the goal. They didn't really fault him for the goals." And he said, "Morata's jump is the one that essentially got the 3rd goal." So, and he said, "For the final, we'll choose whether to go with Kepa or Lunin."
Okay. If Kepa doesn't goal and we lose the final, may God help us. But I guess again, the man is being diplomatic. I hope this doesn't really come back to bite him. But pick up every single one of you in the chat. If you're new here, you know the drill. Smash the likes and subscribe to the channel if you're new. We're on the road to 2K, and pick up every single one of you who is going to tune into this later on in our audio platforms. We recently hit 1K on our Spotify account, 1K followers. So big up every single one of you in the Spotify family. It has been an absolute pleasure. Even though it's kind of heavily associated with Barcelona these days, Spotify is where our roots lie. That is nothing. That's nothing to take away from our Apple or Amazon listeners. Basically, you guys basically contribute a lot more than we can possibly ask for, especially people who send in suggestions, feedback, and whatnot. Big up our team in Madrid as well. We'll be back at work, like I've mentioned a couple of times, against Almera at home. Hopefully, we can get into the thick of things ASAP, especially with the derby coming up. There'll be a lot of asking people, basically, checking the pulse of how the fans are feeling at this moment in time and how optimistic they are going into the pivotal second leg of the season. Yeah, man. Again, big up every single one of you in the chat, man. Big up so many names. I'm not gonna even mention any names because you guys have been absolutely box office tonight, especially some of the comments. Big up my esteemed panel again, man. Mo, Jacob, and Farooq for tolerating me for over 3.5 years. It's been an absolute pleasure, and hope we get to do more of such nights where we get to really take a seat back and enjoy our beautiful side. Until next time, people. Ala Madrid.
Hello, Madrid.
Madrid.